So do you want to know the story behind The Wizard of Oz? Because it's more than just a story. It's actually one giant metaphor. So in 1900, Frank L. Baum wrote the story of The Wizard of Oz. But in his version, Dorothy actually had silver slippers. However, in 1939, when the movie came out, they really wanted to showcase this newfangled technology called Technicolor. So they changed her drab silver slippers to a bright, sparkly red. But there's a reason her shoes were silver. So for a long time, historians, yes, historians, looked at The Wizard of Oz and tried to figure out exactly what Frank Baum was trying to say, because they knew he had pretty significant political ideations based off of his work with famous, at the time, cartoonist William Wallace Denslow. Based off of what they knew about him then and what they know about The Wizard of Oz now, this is what they think he was trying to say with the movie. The yellow brick road is a representation of the gold standard. The silver slippers that Dorothy wore are a representation of the Silverites 16. Now, the Silverites were a member of a political movement in the U.S. that advocated that silver should continue to be a monetary standard along with gold. Their famous slogan was 16-to-1. That is the ratio of 16 ounces of silver equal in value to 1 ounce of gold. Coincidentally, Oz was named after the abbreviation for ounces, which is OZ. Now, the Wizard of Oz himself is a representation of a scheming politician who uses tricks, smooth words, and sleights of hand to convince his constituents that he really cares about them and is a benevolent ruler, when really he's just a selfish dirtbag who has no more control than what he can convince his constituents that he has. Sound familiar? The scarecrow is a representation of the American farmer and their troubles in the late 19th century. He feels he doesn't have a brain because he can't get a leg up with constant instability in prices, decreased purchasing power, and monopolistic practices. But the farmers find their power when they realize there is strength in numbers. So in 1896, they formed populist parties called the Grange, the People's Party, and the Greenbacks. Basically, they unionized. The Tin Man represented industrial workers, especially the American steel industries. The steel industries were run by heartless men like John D. Rockefeller, for instance, and the steel industry was widely known as the industry that was the heart of America and yet had no heart at all. Now, historians believe that the Cowardly Lion actually represents a man named William Jennings Bryan, an American orator and politician who ran for president 3 times but lost each time. He was, however, rewarded with the title of Secretary of State under President Woodrow Wilson in 1912, but soon left the position due to differences of opinion on many things. He went a little crazy after that and died in 1925, but is widely considered to have been one of the most influential figures of the Progressive era. And now back to Dorothy. She was the representation of the deep-seated goodness and innocence of humankind. And the cyclone was a representation of the political revolution that would transform the drab country into a land of color and unlimited prosperity. But the depiction of the cyclone was nothing new. It had been used by editorial cartoonists since the 1890s to represent political upheaval in general. And now, you know the rest of the story.